You're listening to TGI Sports Talk with your host, Keith Angle, on Northeast Streaming Sports.
Good morning, guys. Keith Angle for TGI Sports Talk. How are you today? It's Sunday, March 14th. Tomorrow's the 15th. First day of shorts. Full-time shorts. Except for work. Well, work remote will still be in shorts. Beautiful day, beautiful morning, beautiful sunshiny morning here. A little chilly. We got some wind coming. Good morning, Dave Guyette. But March is here. Spring is on its way. Maybe we'll do some shows outside come the nicer weather. I don't know. We'll see. Can't be in my beautiful professional background if I do that, but we'll see how it goes. Guys, big weekend in sports. Let me first start by thanking my guest from Friday, Butch Lee, former Marquette Warrior, NCAA champions in 1977. Butch called me last night to let me know the banner that I can't change, unfortunately, says NCCA. So I'm not sure what league that is, but Marquette would have won the championship in a lot of leagues that year. So thank you to Butch. I'm hoping to have Butch on again for our NCAA Final Four show on March 31st, 7 p.m. I'll do a promo for it here coming up. Guests still being lined up. We're going to have a big show. I'll be co-hosting with Mac McGrath from the Mac and Jack Sports Show and Big Shaw, also on the Northeast Streaming Sports Network, as we all are. Do not forget the Northeast Streaming Sports Network. So please like and share. Continue to like and share all the groups. I'll give my little disclaimer. Any groups I share this to today, there will be pertinent content for you. If all of it does not apply, there will be some. And we got a lot to cover, guys. We're going to cover the NCAA. Just realized my banner is misspelled again today. Oh, my gosh, I'm having trouble. Let me see if I can fix this quick, guys, or I'll get rid of it one or the other. Can we fix this? You know what's funny is, like, I wish Drew was here. Drew could tell me how to spell consciousness. Still don't think it's right. Whatever. Great radio. Fix the banner as you do the show. Oh my God, I was doing so many banners this morning, guys. You know what? Maybe I'll just take this out. Hold on a second. Let's just take it out. All right. Our Sunday stream of consciousness, we're going to cover the NCAA picture. Lots of storylines as we head into the last day of conference tournaments, and Selection Sunday is tonight. We'll talk the NBA, some stories going on there in the second half getting underway. The Knicks off to a horrible start, at least in the first game, and bouncing back nicely last night. We're going to talk a little bit about the NFL and some of the top free agents. Remember, we're going to have a big NFL draft show coming up on 4/29. We're going to do the entire first round of the draft live right here on TGI. Well, actually, this one will be hosted mainly through Mac and Jack Sports. I'll be co-hosting, probably with some others, but it will also be on Northeast Streaming Sports, and I will also broadcast it live to TGI Sports Talk. And we'll get into some Major League Baseball news as well. So the NFL and the NBA, or the NFL and Major League Baseball might take a little backseat today, only because of the things and the timing that we're in. We will have a big MLB kickoff show coming up in the weeks to come once we get through the NCAA tournament. And we may do that show at a different time just so that we can not lose sports with Major League Baseball cranking up, the NFL draft, free agency, and then heading into the draft. We got the NBA in full swing. We've got the NCAA tournament, hockey, which, I touch on from time to time. But we try to do the best we can to get it all in and get all your guys' fun stuff in. Which time was it spelled correctly, Drew? Too late now. Hope the first time looked very weird. It looked like I had too many C's or too many O's or something. Who knows? Good morning again, Dave Guyette. Good morning to, let's see, put you guys up here quickly. Dave Guyette, good morning. Bill Pulver, good morning. Drew Ehrlich, good morning. Hopefully the loss of the hour hasn't affected your brain too much. It has. I have this internal clock in my head that I wake up, guys, at 4:45 every single morning. I don't get up sometimes till 5:30-ish, but I just have this clock in my head, and it went off an hour late. Good morning, Rick Sherlock. Our Sunday regulars are all here. NCAA. Let's get started with some NCAA news, shall we? Big weekend in the NCAA. Lots of stuff going on with the conference tournaments. Some upsets yesterday. Some big stories. Let me touch on a couple. Well, let's touch on a couple of the games first. Let's go through the games, the scores. I'll touch on some of the news that's affecting it with some COVID opt-outs and the NCAA selections and bubble watch and everything else. Yesterday, we'll go through some of the big scores from yesterday. Georgetown, the big story, stealing a bid from somebody as an at-large by winning the Big East tournament in amazing fashion. I mean, Georgetown, I didn't think Georgetown was going to get through round one. I thought they would get beat in round one by Marquette. Did not happen. Our experts from our Big East tournament show last Monday, nobody had it right. I was on St. John's, who went out against Seton Hall in round one. In the quarterfinals. Just didn't shoot the ball well enough to win. And they were kind of small compared to Seton Hall. Seton Hall, in turn, gets beat by Georgetown, surprisingly enough. And I think Seton Hall's out. We'll talk a little bit about that later. And most of the other experts were on UConn. And UConn got beat in the quarterfinals by Creighton, who we thought was in total disarray with the situation with their coach being suspended for some insensitive comments. And I'm not going to get into that today. I mean, I've talked about it on other shows, and look, it is what it is. I try to separate sports from some of this other stuff, and there's a lot of important stuff going on in the world that needs to be addressed. But, sometimes we're too sensitive to some of the things that have been said for a long time, and maybe they shouldn't be said, and coaches should be smarter about what they say. But somebody's entire body of work should not be put into question because of one stupid word used, and I'm not going to get into it any further than that. But a huge win for Georgetown yesterday. Jumping around a little bit, no scores from the A10, but they do have their conference final today. VCU against St Bonaventure. They're probably both in. One of my favorite guests, New York Post columnist Mike Vaccaro, who's been on my show a few times and was on our special Monday night, is a St Bonaventure graduate. He'll be rooting hard for the Bonnies today, who are a great story here in the East. Both of these teams are likely in, but that's going to be there's no games yesterday. They had played all their games leading up to the final last week, so they've had a week off. I'm not a big fan of that, by the way. One of the fun things about the conference tournaments to me is the fact that you've got to win however many games in a row, 2, 3, 4 games in a row. Probably not 4 for most of these conferences, but in some years it might be. And you play night after night. And the strongest team that can withstand that gauntlet wins. I'm not a big fan. And then there's some of these smaller leagues do this. And whatever. I mean, I guess it maximizes their exposure. Maybe they're playing their championship games when more people are watching, but I'm sure money's got something to do with it. Moving on to the ACC. The final yesterday was Georgia Tech and Florida State, two teams that benefited from two very good teams, by the way. Nobody steals a bid here. They were both getting in the tournament most likely. But they both benefited by moving forward without playing a game at some point during the tournament as Duke and Virginia both had positive COVID tests during the week and had to pull out of the tournament. I believe Virginia had pulled out their game against Virginia Tech, which moved Virginia Tech into the semifinals. That is correct. And then Florida State had moved forward when Duke, not that they probably would not have beaten Duke. I like Florida State a lot. The whole Duke, Virginia, also Kansas in the Big Eight. I don't know that any other teams have come forward yet today. Hopefully not. And we don't have any further problems. And we'll talk about this more as we go forward. These teams opted out. Virginia, especially, and Kansas are definite NCAA selections, but with the very strict testing that's been put into place by the NCAA for COVID testing, it's going to be very difficult. They've got to have 7 consecutive days with no positive tests. Now, most likely, it's going to be very interesting. I would expect both of them to get selected tonight. If they can't make it, then I think this has to happen by Tuesday, though. So I don't know how the NCAA is going to deal with this. We'll be talking about Rick Pitino in a second. I'll bring your comment back up, Billy. I think Rick Pitino is a great story, but that's just me. Let me concentrate what I'm talking about here. It's going to be interesting to see if the NCAA does select them, because I believe they've got to make decisions by Tuesday about teams that won't be able to play and will have to be replaced, and they're going to take the first 4 out, right? We'll talk about it when we get to the bracketology a little bit, but the first 4 out that the NCAA stipulates, we'll look at Joe Lunardi's probably first 4 out now to kind of give us a gauge. Those teams would be from the pool that those teams are selected. So it's going to be very interesting to see what happens, and it definitely affected the ACC and the Big 12 and the overall NCAA tournament here in a little bit. Nothing. So actually, the Atlantic Sun Conference that was decided last week, Liberty gets the automatic bid there. No bids being stolen there anywhere. The American East, where Albany U plays, they did not get a chance to play themselves, but Hartford, another one of those leagues that played their entire tournament the prior week and now played the final this weekend. Hartford beats UMass Lowell easily. Hartford, I think their first trip to the NCAA tournament ever. Great story there. Again, no bid stolen. These one bid leagues with their automatic bids are not going to be stealing any bids. We got a potential bid to be stolen here in the AAC, the American Conference, as yesterday Houston handles Memphis. Memphis again gave Houston a tough tussle. Not sure that Memphis is going to be able to get in that large bid. They're going to be on the bubble here as we go through the day. But Cincinnati did upset Wichita State, which likely goes to the bubble, was going to be probably in the tournament. It's funny. I'll have to bring this up real quick. Hang on, Billy. Oh, my gosh. Billy, Keith still has Cam Newton on his mind. We'll get it for you later. Maybe we won't. Watch my vlog. I was not happy Friday. I'm not going to get into that right now. We're on the NCAA. But if Cincinnati were to beat Houston today, that's another at-large bid that's been stolen, because Cincinnati is, at the moment, not in the tournament. They'd have to win today to get in. And again, if they do beat Houston, it knocks another team out of an at-large bid. Yesterday's final, again affected by COVID, as I believe Texas had a uncontested semifinal game against Kansas, as Kansas had to pull out due to COVID testing. They beat Baylor 91-80. They beat Oklahoma State, who had beaten Baylor the night before, 91-86, and both of these teams were in. No bid steals here. There's going to be a lot of teams from the from this conference getting in the tournament for sure, as we'll look at probably in a little bit. The Big East I already covered. Georgetown does steal a bid. They were not in a tournament. They beat Creighton yesterday. UConn was kind of the prohibitive favorite here. In the Big Sky, Eastern Washington beats Montana. Again, one bid league, no big deal there. Eastern Washington is really the best team in that conference to begin with. The Big South had already done their, let me go backwards here. They had already wrapped up with Winthrop being their NCAA tournament. Winthrop's a good story, actually. 23-1 on the season. Going to be an interesting team to play in the tournament. They play very, very, very sound basketball. In the Big Ten, another very solid, very deep team. Yesterday in the semifinals, in the finals. Oh, sorry. Geez, good grief. Got the finals today. Semifinals. Illinois beats my dark horse, Iowa. Iowa does not play enough defense, and they didn't shoot the ball particularly well yesterday. I love Fran McCaffrey and his teams, though, and I'll be rooting for them. They'll be getting in the tournament either way. Ohio State beats Michigan. Interesting altercation on Friday. Michigan played Maryland in the quarterfinals. An interesting altercation between Juwan Howard and Mark Turgeon from Maryland. During the course of that game, they got into a very heated shouting match. Had to be separated. Howard was ejected, and I'll tell you what, it got pretty ugly. And Juwan Howard was angry, man. So I don't know what was going on there. Mark Turgeon made some comments after in his press conference about it. The first two times these teams had played, he reported it to conference tournament. He did not go into details about what happened. But this thing exploded, and it turned into nothing ugly. I mean, again, these things happen. I'm a big fan of, as you heard me talking about with Butch Lee Friday, I was a big fan of Al McGuire, and these things happened a lot back in Mel's days. He'd get in confrontations with officials. He'd get in confrontations with coaches. He'd get in confrontations with his own players. And maybe we'll talk about that come the Final Four show about how Butch Lee told a great story about how, and I read more detail. If you go to the, I think it's the Wit and Wisdom of Al McGuire group. It's a great group if you like college basketball and Marquette in general, and Al McGuire in general. But it tells the story of how in the first round of that tournament, he got into a physical altercation with Bernard Toon at halftime, where Bernard Toon had basically flattened him on a trainer's table. But he had orchestrated the whole thing just to motivate his team. So I digress. The Big Ten championship today won't affect anything but seeding. So you'll have today Ohio State taking on Illinois. Illinois is playing great. Illinois is trying to get a number one seed, and they probably have played their way in. We'll talk about the seeds here in a bit. Billy's mentioning Gonzaga. They're definitely, I still obviously think they're still the number one seed in the entire tournament. Moving out to the Big West, UC Santa Barbara. Again, it's another one bid league, so nothing's really affected here. UC Santa Barbara is the class of the league, and they win that automatic bid. Conference USA, Western Kentucky is upset by North Texas. So North Texas gets in. Again, a one bid league, so it's not a big deal, but Western Kentucky out. They had some pretty high grades going into the season, so it's a bit of an upset. In the CAA, that conference was already decided, and Drexel, again, another one bid league, gets that bid. That was finished up last weekend. Also last weekend, Cleveland State, interesting team again to watch early in the tournament, has the automatic bid in the Horizon League. Conference USA, another one bid league. You've got actually another, you had another Another issue with COVID, I think, in that league early on with one of the teams, but North Texas ends up. I already did that. How did I do that? I went backwards. Sorry, guys. See a horizon. Let me get going here in the right place. Ivy League did not play. So there's an extra at-large bid, by the way. We've talked about that at different times. The MAC Conference. Now we'll go back to Billy's comment. If I can find it. Bad boy Rick Pitino back in March Madness. Big story. I got to tell you what, Rick Pitino, love him, hate him. He's a great coach. He's a Hall of Fame coach. He's an all-time great coach. He's one of now 3 coaches to take 5 different schools to the NCAA tournament. Him and Tubby Smith and Lon Kruger are the only others that I'm aware of that have taken 5 schools to the NCAA tournament. He went with BU. He went with Providence. Providence was probably one of the greatest stories of any team. We talked about it on the Big East tournament show Monday night. One of the great coaching jobs in history was taking that Providence team to the Final Four back in 87, I think. He also took, obviously, Kentucky and won national championship. He took Louisville and won national championship, which I believe has been vacated. And now Iona. Billy mentions Gonzaga here. I think, Rick Pitino has talked about making Iona the Gonzaga of the East. He's not going anywhere. This is his last job. He has no illusions of grandeur of getting another Power 5 conference school, because I don't think anybody would take him anyway with his baggage. But he could turn Iona into something special here. This is a team that really was affected more than any other team in all of college basketball. They only played 17 games all year. They had played about 4 games in almost 80 days, 76, 77 days leading into the tournament. And they won 4 games in a row to win this tournament, including beating number 1 seed Siena for local flavor here. Yeah, Billy, I'm not going to talk about that right now. So if I remember to come back to that, or you can repost it when I get to the NFL. Moving on. The MEAC one bid league. Norfolk State is the winner. Missouri Valley Conference. They already wrapped up last week. The winner there was who? Loyola Chicago. Great story again. Really, really good team. A couple of years ago, they went to the Final Four, and they got a really good team again this year. They beat Drake in the final. I think both of those teams will be in. Drake is kind of on the bubble, but they're probably one of the last 4 teams with a bye, I would guess. Mountain West, where are we? Mountain West, San Diego State. This is a very interesting league, by the way. San Diego State wins, so really no bid stolen here because San Diego State was one of the favorites. It's going to be very interesting to see whether Utah State gets any love by the selection committee. Probably the only other team in that league. Maybe Boise State, but Boise State played horrible down the stretch here, so they're not going to get a bid. It'll be interesting to see where Utah State ends up. The Northeast Conference wrapped up last Sunday or Monday or Tuesday. Very odd. That's Mount St. Mary's, again, one bid league. Mount St. Mary's always a very strong team in that league and played very well. Pac-12. Upsets galore here. Here we got a bid stolen. Oregon State wins the tournament, beating Colorado 70-68. So Oregon State steals a bid from somebody. Could likely come from their own conference in the Pac-12 in UCLA. So it's going to be interesting to see. We'll talk about the bubble again in a little bit as we head through the rest of this college. We got a couple other leagues to get through with some automatic bids. We moved to the Patriot League. that league. You know, it's funny. Colgate was ranked in some of the like power ratings. The net. There's all these different computer power ratings and whatnot, right? Let me get this down here. I'm not sure how we get it back down. There we go. Not sure how these rankings work, because Colgate's been ranked like in the top 10 the entire season. Not really sure, playing in the league that they play in. I'm sure they're a very good team, very fun team to watch, but I'm not sure exactly how they are ranked that high. And they will play the final today in that conference against Loyola of Maryland. Now, Loyola Maryland wins this. They're 4-10 in their conference. There's another potential at-large bid stolen from somebody. The SEC in a very down year. Yesterday we had the semifinals. Well, Alabama beats Tennessee. Alabama's the prohibitive favorite here, but Arkansas goes down to LSU, who really needed to win. They're kind of solidly on the bubble. Probably in the tournament now. So LSU will play Alabama in that final. Kentucky went out in the first round. Kentucky's done. Again, Blue Blood's probably not in the tournament. Duke, Kentucky, UCLA possibly. Although UCLA has, again, they're still, I would still consider them a blue blood, even though they haven't had the success over the last, last decade anyway, maybe a couple decades that some of these other schools that we mentioned as blue bloods have had. But you may have Kansas out because of some issues. So be very interesting. The SWAC won by Texas Southern. The Southern Conference, that was wrapped up last weekend. The winner there was who? UC Greensboro gets the automatic bid there. And then we got the rest of these. Oh, yeah. Let me know. I can't forget the WAC. I mean, obviously that's, or not the WAC, but we got to get into, the WAC. Gonzaga. Let me bring up Billy's post here. We're going to jump now into, the as far as not seeing Billy's comments, I think it depends on where you're logged in, because remember, I'm on 5 different streams here. So if he's on my page or Northeast Streaming Sports, it may not come through. Who knows? So that's why I try to put some of them up. Gonzaga wins, just have to work the sheet backwards again. I like Gonzaga a lot, but we'll see. It's going to be very interesting to see what happens. Let's just take a quick look, guys, at, where we are at the moment with college basketball. Now, as I said, we had a couple of steals yesterday, a couple of stolen bids by Georgetown, by Oregon State. That takes a couple of teams right off the bubble. I'm going to jump into bracketology here real quick. So again, your number 1 seeds are most likely still going to be Gonzaga, Illinois, Baylor, even though they lost in their conference semifinals. I do not see them losing a number 1 seed. And then it may come down to Michigan or Ohio State. That's where I see the number 1 seeds. Important, but not important. Remember, all of these games are being played in Indianapolis. There's very, very strict protocols that teams have to follow to get in a tournament and be able to play in a tournament. And if teams are not able to meet those criteria the way I had read it by Tuesday, which really puts Kansas, Virginia, and Duke probably won't be selected anyway, in serious jeopardy because they have to meet these protocols by Tuesday so that they can slide in one of the other teams. So right now, Lenardi's got the last 4 byes as Maryland, VCU, Michigan State, who was on the bubble with a bad loss in a Big East tournament, and UCLA in the tournament, even though they lost in the quarterfinals to USC. He does have Syracuse in, which I think Syracuse should be in. They haven't had any big wins, no signature wins, but really no bad losses. I mean, they had a chance to beat Virginia the other night. Also, Louisville, Drake, and Utah State, who I mentioned earlier. Now, the first 4 out, which is huge, as I just mentioned, because of the COVID protocols, Wichita State, St. Louis, Colorado State, and Ole Miss. If Kansas and Virginia Tech wouldn't get in, then Wichita State slides in, St. Louis slides in. This is, again, by Joe Lunardi's rankings. The NCAA committee is going to have a bit different rankings, but you keep posting about the Patriots, Billy, and I'm not talking about the Patriots. So by the time I get to them, your comments are going to be long gone, which is probably a good thing. Next 4 out would be Western Kentucky, Memphis, Boise State, and Duke, as I mentioned, out. So very interesting. Again, these last 4 byes, or even last 4 in. So you take those 8 teams. Those 8 teams are still in danger of a couple of games. But I say there's 2 games, I think, today that are potential bid stealers, right? Let me look real quick here at the schedule for today and recap. Who could steal it? Colgate? I'm sorry, Loyola could steal a bid if they were to beat Colgate. Because I doubt they're going to take Colgate as an at-large. Well, I take that back. If Loyola wins and they don't take Colgate as an at-large, then there isn't a bid stolen. But Colgate, with their ranking in some of these computer rankings, it's possible they'll take them. I doubt it. LSU, maybe. I think they're in the tournament. The big one is Cincinnati. That's really the only one, I guess. Cincinnati beats Houston. They're going to steal a bid. So one of these teams could be in trouble yet. Other than that, what are the remaining questions here as we head towards the tournament? I got to find my notes here. What's the biggest questions remaining? I already mentioned, how's the committee going to deal with the coronavirus factors? You've already got teams, Duke I'm not counting, they're not getting in. Kansas and Virginia. It's going to be interesting to see what they do there. How long? Are they going to stick to their guidelines and they got to test negative by Tuesday? Can't happen. I don't think they can get 7 consecutive tests in. Now, what happens also, by the way, remember, after that, I didn't finish my analysis here. After Tuesday, just to say the field's set. It is set after Tuesday, whether they have to slide teams in for Kansas and Virginia, whether they don't select them at all today. Any teams that have to withdraw, similar to the conference tournaments, the team that they're scheduled to play will just move on. So, you get a 1 or a 2 that moves that has a COVID issue. All of a sudden, you got a 15 to 16 moving on. If it happens before round 1, it could be very interesting to see if they can. Again, once they get into this bubble atmosphere, it's semi-bubble atmosphere. They're going to play at 5 different sites or 4 different sites. Well, 5, I guess, if you include the first 4 on Friday or Thursday. Another important thing to remember, guys, everything else pushed back. The first 4 games are going to be played, I think all on Thursday. I have to look at that. It could be being played Wednesday and Thursday, but the first two rounds of the tournament are not Thursday, Friday. The first two rounds of the tournament are Friday and Saturday. So that pushes everything else back. Number one seeds have been locked up, as I mentioned. Illinois is there. Gonzaga definitely is there. I still think Baylor's there, even though they lost twice the last couple of weeks. I suppose Alabama could have an argument if they win their conference tournament today, but we'll see. You've got some injuries that are going to impact seeding. Villanova, for example, lost their best player, Connor Gillespie, their point guard, for the season. I don't see anybody know what he's on. I'm just looking at your guys' comments. You guys are killing me. Let me try to get down to where you guys are here. I've fallen behind. Good morning, Kenny Gifford. Good to see you. The question is, who does Gonzaga beat? Billy, you can... I love Gonzaga. Don't get me wrong. But that's not the only question, by the way. There's some really good teams. This tournament is wide open. Wide open. Problem with Gonzaga is Gonzaga hasn't played a good team in months and months and months. They beat really good teams, by the way, early in the season, but they had some really big out-of-conference games canceled. They struggled mightily against BYU to win the conference championship. So these questions do remain. Villanova, really good team. They're not nearly as good as they showed in the Big East tournament, and probably it's going to affect their seeding, and I don't see them going terribly deep in the tournament, which we'll break down the bracket during the week at one point. We'll come on and we'll do that. What's the committee going to do with Duke? They started out 18-0, then missed 22 days with a COVID, and since then they've been, they've lost their starting point guard again. This is a team that will likely get in. But probably is not going to get seeded as highly as they normally would, which really is impactful. You guys may not think seeds mean anything, but they certainly do. Certainly different being a 3 seed, a 4 seed than it is a 5 or a 6 seed. That's where these upsets happen, guys. You know it. If you pay any attention to the tournament, which I'm guessing all of you guys do, consciousness for the next show. Thank you, Bill. What's funny? I did look it up. I copied it. I pasted it in, and I thought I fixed it, and I probably, again, I was trying to get a lot done. The hour affected me a lot today. So again, I was talking about the seeds. Falling to a 5, 6, or below is huge. I mean, 5, 12s, 6, 11. That's where these upsets happen in the first round of the tournament. I think 5, 12s. I think the 12s win almost 40% of the time in the first round. If you guys don't already know it, there's a big tip for you. I would think if you play any brackets, you already know this. 13s too lately. Bid Steelers, look, as I mentioned already, Seton Hall, Georgetown, Ohio State. I'm sorry, not Seton Hall. Cincinnati potentially today. Georgetown yesterday, Oregon State yesterday, all stole at-large bids from somebody. Previous to that, who's at risk? I don't know. Again, we talked about the teams on the seeds. I don't know. You've got your number 1 seed set. Who's the number 2 seeds? Texas came back from some bad play here in the second half to win the Big 12 championship. They may have moved into the discussion. You got Arkansas, even though they slipped up in the semis. You've got Alabama. If they don't get a number 1, they're likely going to be a number 2. You got West Virginia and Kansas, which were both in the mix, but Kansas, we know their issues. West Virginia went out fairly early in the conference finals. I mean, the top 16 seeds, you're likely to have 10 teams, as many as 10 teams, maybe even more from the Big 10 and the Big 12. They're the really strong leagues in the going into the tournament. But again, that doesn't necessarily always translate into victories once you get there, because it's wide open this year. It really is. Really is. I'm not going to say Gonzaga's overrated. Gonzaga has beaten at least 7 teams in the top 25 this year. They don't play in a strong league. I get that. They don't play these games night after night that they play in the Big 12 or the Big 10. Gonzaga's, by the way, one of the most consistent major college teams, and they are a major college. They're not a mid-major anymore. It's a major program. They were just in an NCAA final just 4 years ago. Almost won against North Carolina. Mark Few is one of the best coaches in the country. And they're hurt by playing in a weak conference, yes, but they beat really good teams this year. In fact, let me tell you some of the teams they beat this year. Let's just take a quick look. Hold on. Let's see if I can find Gonzaga's schedule here real quick. Somebody'd probably find it before I do, right? I know you're here somewhere. Gonzaga. Let's just look at some of the teams they beat. They beat Kansas. They beat Auburn, who was really highly ranked at the time. They beat West Virginia. By the way, Kansas is 6th in the country. West Virginia is 11th in the country. They didn't get a chance to play number 2 Baylor because of COVID. They beat Iowa, who's 3rd in the country. This is all before this weekend, these rankings. They beat Virginia, who's 18th and 16th in the country. Who else have they beaten this year? BYU, who's been ranked. I'm looking at some teams that were ranked when they probably played them. And then they get into their league schedule and they don't get a chance to play. There are very few teams that have beaten 1, 2, 3, 4 teams in the top 10 this year. Gonzaga is not overrated. I have no idea what Billy's talking about here. Overrated way, of course, that's why they'll win field goal hopping, FG hopping for Syracuse Miracle. I have no idea. That's why they'll win. I guess there's some punctuation missing maybe here. That's why they will win. I don't know that they'll win. I'm not saying they'll win. They're not overrated. They're the best team in the country. If you watched them play, they're the best team in the country. If you've watched them play. Arkansas Center is a waste of a player. I'm not sure where that's relevant necessarily. Arkansas's got a really good team and a really good coach. Eric Musselman in 1 year has done a tremendous year there. Or tremendous year. He's done a tremendous job there. So it's wide open, guys. This conference is wide open. And again, I don't see this team as being overrated. I can't seem to get my thing back here. How do I get this back? Oh, it doesn't matter. So that's where we're at, guys. We'll get into, it's going to be a very interesting Sunday selection show tonight. One of my favorite pastimes, watching the NCAA selection show. I'm excited. I'll find time to go live here, hopefully, I don't know, Monday or Tuesday. And kind of break down the brackets a little bit, at least look at some of the teams. If we don't break down the brackets, we'll at least look at some of the teams that maybe got slighted. Because again, just because Joe Lenardi's got his bracketology and I say it's very good, and it is very good, it does not mean by any stretch of imagination that the committee sees it exactly the same way, right? So time will tell. Let's move on to the NBA a little bit. NBA scores from last night. Second half just got started this week, right? We'll talk about the Knicks in a little bit. Last night, the Knicks with a big win. Big win over not a very good Thunder team, but the way they played against Milwaukee on the road, going on the road and beating any team by 20 points, 22 points like they did last night. And Julius Randle getting back on board because he played his worst game in probably 2 years against Milwaukee. He played great against Oklahoma City last night. He had 26 points, 12 rebounds, and 12 assists. This guy's a superstar. Superstar, not a star. Finished argument with Jack from the Mac and Jack show, and he's starting to come around. I could not convince him that he was even a star early in the year. Not somebody that other players would want to come and play with. Josh Randle. Josh Randle. You know who Josh Randle is? Who knows who Josh Randle is? Put a little, well, I want one guy to tell me who Josh Randle is and why I keep saying that. I'll watch for the comments while I continue. By the way, Barrett also played well with 32 points last night. Shooting the ball very, very well, even against Milwaukee. He's the only guy who played decent against Milwaukee the other night. So a really good bounce-back win for the Knicks last night. Who else played last night? The Nets beat the Pistons. The Nets are playing really, really, really good basketball. We'll talk a little bit more about them going forward. Blake Griffin, they acquired after he was let go by the Pistons. It's going to be very interesting to see how he fits into this. I think Blake Griffin is the kind of guy who will Blake Griffin's a guy who I think will fit into that team and not cause a problem. I'm very impressed with James Harden, by the way. You know, as we're talking about this, James Harden passed Larry Bird on the all-time scoring list at 34 last night. Harden, who I was not convinced would come in and assimilate his game to what they needed, has done just that. He's become a ball distributor. Last night, he went 24, 10, and 10. He doesn't dominate the ball the way he did in Houston, the way he did his last couple of years in Oklahoma City. You're close, Kenny. Josh Randle, no. I don't even know if Josh Randle is an actor. He may be. But the Josh Randle I'm thinking of, Steve McQueen in Wanted, Dead or Alive. I try to turn it on as I'm getting my early work stuff done in the morning. It's on very early in the morning on MeTV or Heroes and Icons. Love that show. Why, again, Billy, why you try to, I'm not moving on to Tom Brady. Oh my gosh. We'll move on to the NFL later, guys. I lost my banner. All right. Back to the scores from last night. Nets again playing really good basketball. We'll be looking at the standings and we'll talking a little bit about the second half here in a second. The Hornets beat the Raptors. The Bucks, who were playing much better basketball, as I mentioned recently, blew out the Knicks the first game back, but I think the Knicks just had an all-star hangover. I'm still very hopeful for the Knicks second half. The Hawks won 21-106 over the Kings. The Trailblazers beat the Timberwolves in another interesting milestone last night. Carmelo Anthony, I lost my note. He passed, oh, damn it. Hang on, maybe I can find it here quick. Made a note of this. Carmelo passed Hakeem Olajuwon for 11th. Believe it or not, Carmelo Anthony is 11th in scoring all-time in the NBA. Melo's had an interesting career. Mavericks playing a little bit better basketball, beat the Nuggets. and the Pacers beat the surprising Suns 122-111 on the road. So that's some of the scores from last night. We talked about the Knicks. I think it was a huge bounce back for the Knicks. We'll talk a little bit about their second half here. Well, let's talk a little bit about the second half right now. We're moving into, as I said, the All-Star break was last weekend, and talk what you want about, NBA All-Stars, whatever. It's the worst All-Star game in professional sports, unfortunately. Carmelo never passes. He does now. Actually, Carmelo's changed his game a little bit, too. He's been a very interesting pickup for Portland going last year. Carmelo has changed his game, but Carmelo is not the black hole that he was with the Knicks. And your comment is correct, previous to now, Billy. Carmelo was a black hole. The ball went into him. It never came out. So, what's Rick saying? The year in front of you at Perth. Not sure what that was about, Rick. You can kind of comment again, I suppose. Yeah, you're not going to see Billy's comments, I guess. It depends. Again, I explained this earlier. I don't know where Billy's watching the show from, but sometimes the comments that we see, or you could see different comments than I see, depending on which platform you're watching. Remember, I'm streaming live to my personal Facebook page, the TGI Sports Talk page, the Northeast Streaming page, and then also to the Northeast Streaming Sports page on YouTube and Northeast Streaming, or the TGI Sports Talk page on YouTube. So it all depends on where people are watching. Josh Randall, Josh Randall, Steve McQueen from Wanted Dead or Alive. That's not my next year at Perth, Josh Randall. Not really sure. Second half of the season, big exhale, right, from if Sixers fans with Joel Embiid had a MRI the other night. He came out of the game Friday night, I guess, with an injury. Turns out he's only got a bruised knee. He'll miss a couple of weeks, but no structural damage. Huge sigh of relief, I'm sure, from the collective Philly fans. Sixers are playing really good basketball. 26-12 in the East. Brooklyn, as I said, has really gotten it going at 26-13. And this is a team that I really thought was not going to be able to put it together with these personalities. Like, well, Durant's a really not, a type A personality, but you got Harden and Irvin, Kyrie Irving, my favorite flat earther, but they were 14-12 on February 9th. And now they're contending with the 76ers, even with Kevin Durant not having played hardly at all in the last few weeks. But they kind of turned it around, obviously, from that point, because right now they were 14-12, as I said, and struggling mightily. And since then, they've gone 12-1 to get a half a game behind the Sixers. The Celtics continue to struggle. I don't know what's going on there. There's rumors about the coach getting fired. Brad Stevens is a great coach. Brad Stevens gets fired, he'll be able to have the pick of his jobs, whether it's the NFL. I don't think he's going to coach the NFL. He'll have the pick of the litter of the jobs available in the NBA and college. Great college coach in Butler. If you don't know Brad Stevens' history, this man can coach, and he's going to coach well. In the Central, the Bucks have really started to play much better. They're 24. They're 24-14 now. They've got a 6.5 game lead over the Pacers. That division is not very good. They'll easily win the division. They're going to be getting themselves ready for the playoffs. After a horrible start, Miami Heat have got it going again. Let me go back to the East for a second. Don't forget the Knicks. The Knicks have got that 7th spot. They're going to jockey between 4 and 8. The playoff spots in the East between 4 and 8 are going to jockey back and forth all year. The Knicks are not going anywhere. The Knicks have got it really, they had a hangover game against Milwaukee, but they have got it going. And they're going to have games like that. They're going to have games that really stink. I'm going to get to the Jazz in a second, Drew. They're playing great. I've talked about them a few times on the show recently. Just let me get to that division. So again, we'll skip over the rest of the Central. That division is horrible. The Bucks will win that for fun. The Heat, as I said, are playing well. The Hornets, the Hawks, they're going to flip-flop around. They're one of the teams that are going to be jockeying back and forth between the 4th and the 8th spots in the East, along with the Knicks and the Celtics. Western Conference, to talk about Drew's comment, 28-9, the Jazz. The Jazz have played terrific football. I got football on the brain. Must be all the free agents and the other news I don't even want to talk about. But the Jazz have played amazing basketball. They've got 2-11. I think they've got a 10 and an 11 game winning streak. They're 28-9. They got the first seed in the East by 3 games now over Phoenix, the surprising Phoenix Suns, leading the Pacific Division with the Lakers struggling of late. But the Northwest is a good division too. Portland playing well. The Nuggets are playing well. This, unlike the East, where you're going to have teams, a few games over 500, jockeying for the 4 to 8 position. You got teams that are going to be over 500 that are probably going to be out of the playoffs in the West. Right now the Warriors, the Grizzlies, they're at 500 and they're out of the playoffs. Somebody brought something else up here. Rockets have lost 15 straight. They are amazingly bad. They're awful. They traded every good player they had. The only good player they got is John Wall. I wouldn't be surprised he's gone by the trade deadline. They've torn it up. They had a great team. They took a run at it 2-3 years in a row. Couldn't get past Golden State most of those years. When they had Westbrook and they had Harden and they brought in Chris Paul. So they took their run at it. Boy, I cannot believe how many times I've seen Cam Newton's name in the last hour when I haven't even brought up the NFL except to say we'll talk about it a little bit. It's amazing. The Patriots want to lose. You guys are nuts, by the way. We'll get into that. Bring these comments back up because I'm probably not going to be able to find them when I get to the NFL. The Spurs, by the way, have rebounded a bit too in the West. Mavericks have rebounded a bit in the West. They're at the 7 and 8 spots, but they're leading. They're the 2 teams vying for the Southwest position. So, I was going to talk a little bit about potential trades, but I don't really want to. I mean, I think that kind of covers it. Look at Knicks primed for a big second half. I think they'll make some trades. I think they'll be small trades. I don't think they're going to bring in a Bradley Beal or the kid from Houston who'll be on the block. I'm not even going to try to say his name right now. Possible they bring in Drummond from Cleveland. I don't think he's needed. Noel's playing fine in the center position, and they don't require much out of the center position. Again, Mitchell Robinson, their starter, hasn't taken a jump shot in 2 years. He's out injured now, of course, for a couple of months. He didn't take a jump shot for 2 years. They don't run plays for the center. So if they bring Drummond, it's liable to just clog things up for Randall and also, retard the development of Toppin, which I don't think they need. Anyway, what else we got here in the NBA? Anything I missed? I'm looking for NBA comments. All I got is I still got Kenny on the NCAA. Patino wins the whole thing. Patino's not winning with Iona, at least not this year. He may eventually get them a chance. You guys, too much NFL talk. I can't talk about that right now. Timberwolves, league worst 8-30. There's some bad teams in the NBA. We talked about all the good teams. Drew's absolutely right. The Rockets at 11-25 and lost 15 in a row. The Magic are bad. The Wizards, even though they had a good streak going for a while. Now they've lost 3 in a row again. They're not any good. The Pistons are awful at 10-28. Drew mentioned the Timberwolves, who are so far down I can't even find them here. 8-30. Just some bad teams. I'll tell you what, though. With the Knicks better, and I know what you guys think, because some of you guys think about the NBA, it's not a great game anymore, the way it's played. Teams the Knicks are fun to watch play. The Knicks play defense. Knicks remind me, again, and even though the game's changed, if you see ball movement, even though the design is now to move the ball and set up an open 3-point shot, which is not always a lot of fun. There is a lot of ball movement on good teams in the NBA. You watch the Golden State Warriors from when they were at their high point. That team was fun to watch. They weren't it wasn't just one-on-one basketball, which you see in a lot of cases. That's what you saw with the Knicks with Carmelo, as Billy alluded to earlier. Quick draw is contrarian. Just don't know. You guys are going to make me talk about Cam when I get to the NFL, aren't you? And I'm going to go off just like I did. Raise your hand if you watch my vlog on Cam Newton Friday, which was not my intention. My intention was to talk about the conference tournaments, but I got talking about Carmelo Anthony. I got myself talking about Cam because I just had myself worked into a frazzle because I don't frickin' understand it. We're going to talk about the NFL right now. You want to start there? We can start there. I can't find your old comments, so if you want to put them up, put them up. Ridiculous move by the Patriots. $14 million. Yes, I know there's only $6 million roughly guaranteed. I don't care if it's 6,000. Cam Newton can't play NFL quarterback anymore. Somebody said he was handcuffed. No, he wasn't handcuffed. You go back and watch every Patriot game, which I watched every down of every game. He played 3 good games early in the year. Then he got COVID, and maybe that affected him. Okay, whatever. I'm sure he recovered by the end of the year. I have never in my life seen so many balls thrown into the ground. I've never seen in my life a guy hold on to the football and not want to throw it away. I've never seen a guy in my life so inaccurate as Cam Newton was last year. Now, you can talk all you want about the weapons that weren't around him, and I agree. I do not think the plan is for the Patriots to lose, which I saw a comment about here a little while ago. But I don't understand that. Kenny Gifford has a better arm than Cam Newton. I don't disagree with that. With a beer in my hand? I'm not sure what that one's about, but I think I missed something there. Maybe Billy's comments are starting to come through now. There's an old one. I think I saw that one earlier. Kenny Gifford has a better arm than Cam Newton. You guys can bring Cam Newton up. I'll circle back. But again, I did 10, 12, 14 minutes on this the other day. I was just, my mood is not better. I thought I would feel better about this by yesterday and today for sure. I don't feel good about this at all. Unless I'm missing something in the plan. Not when casualties. far better fit for the Patriots in the way they want to run their offense than Cam Newton. Just ridiculous. Some other news, by the way, the Giants restructured Nate Solder's contracts. Very important cog to their offensive line. He opted out last year. Very important addition to that offensive line to protecting Danny Nichols. So very important move there already. Again, and that's what you got to remember. Some of these teams are going to improve with just guys coming back who opted out last year, including the Patriots, by the way. They had 4 very important players on defense opt out. The Chiefs, Patrick Mahomes restructured his contract. We've talked about this a lot. Restructured his contract so they've got some maneuverability and cap space. Aaron Rodgers complain about another vlog from 2 weeks ago. These NFL quarterbacks want to dictate coaches and general managers and who gets hired. They want to complain about not getting weapons like Aaron Rodgers, but do they get theirs? Tom Brady spent his entire career renegotiating his contract downwards for the given year for the good of the team. Now Patrick Mahomes has done it. Tom Brady did it. Tom Brady has signed an extension, which I believe freed up around $13 million for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to have some maneuverability. Yes, we are live on Northeast Streaming Sports, by the way. Thank you, Linda McGrath. Good to see you. Oh, gosh, guys, these guys complain. Aaron Rodgers complains, but he takes his money and you don't see him renegotiating his contract to take less money next year so they have maneuverability. Cousins should help the Vikings out. All of these guys who complain about not having team solid players around them, and I'm not just talking about skill players. It could be offensive linemen. It could be help the defense. Good point. Thank you, Linda. I keep forgetting to mention TGI Sports Talk and the entire Northeast Streaming Sports Network is on iHeartRadio, Pandora, Spotify, and others on the podcast world, where if you can't watch the video and you're on your you got your radio with you or you've your cell phone, I should say, or however you might listen to podcasts, we are available, as are all the shows on Northeast Streaming Sports Network. I don't care about Tom Brady's wife being a multimillionaire. Tommy Diaper. You know what, Billy? I love the way you try to fire me up, but your arguments are just not even in the ballpark. His wife's situation, and how much money is too much money? Because Aaron Rodgers isn't married to a supermodel, he can't renegotiate his contract, his $96 million, not this year, his contract, and take less money this year so that they can surround him with better weapons. Is Patrick Mahomes married to a supermodel? No. Guys, you don't get it. Hate Tom Brady. Go ahead, hate Tom Brady. I don't care. I know Billy likes to push my buttons. It's fine. Gives me fun. It works me up. Makes for a better show. I love it. Jealousy's a bad pill to swallow. I got a feeling this is Mac and not Linda, but maybe it's Linda. Welcome, either one of you. I love to get fouled up. It's just Tampa Bay. Oh. Anyway, guys, look at some of these teams should follow the Tom Brady mold. Okay. Back to Cam Newton. Can't play anymore. Patriots should have done something different. Maybe they still will. But incentives count against the cap. Patriots got lots of money. They may still draft a quarterback. They may bring another quarterback in to compete. But if they go into the season with Cam Newton and Jason Stidham, Jarrett Stidham, I did it again. I got actors on my mind, apparently. Garrett Stidham, guys, it's going to be another 7-9 season. I should probably get started with the Jamesons in the morning. You guys are right. He's great in practice. Now I know it's Mac. You know how I feel about practice? It's practice. You know how I feel about that fact that everybody loves, in the Patriot organization, loves Cam Newton, and he's a great guy, and him, Bill Belichick has all kinds of respect for him. I don't care. He can't play. Plain and simple. Can't play. Can't play. Let's look at some of these top. Oh gosh, where do I have that? Where do I have this little notes of mine about the NFL? Well, let's look at some of the cap cuts, by the way. I want to look at some of these cap cuts. Here's guys who have been cut so far. Had a lot of big names. Robert Alford with the Cardinals, Ricardo Allen with the Hawks, Alan Bailey, James Carpenter, Mark Ingram, a big name, cut by the Ravens, already signed by the Texans. Nice little move for the Texans there. Maybe their quarterback. Going back to quarterbacks again, Deshaun Watson wants to dictate who the coach is. You know what? You've got a job that you get paid for, playing quarterback. There's a guy at the GM's office or the president of the organization or whoever's making that decision that gets paid to make that decision. Not you, Deshaun. I'm paying you to play quarterback. Sit out. Don't care what you do. I can get going. I have passion. That's why I do this, guys. He dresses well too. I'm moving on from Cam Newton. I got me going on Deshaun Watson now. The other guy I forgot to talk about wants to dictate who the coach is. Come on. You get paid for a job, just do it. I get paid for a job, I go and do it. I'm in a management position in my company. The people who are below me, I take their input, but I don't let them make decisions. I'm sure Deshaun Watson can give his input, but once it's not made and I don't take my employees' input, I would expect them to follow through with what I decide, the same way I do with the people that I work for. I'm asked for my opinion, but I don't get paid to make the decisions that they make. And if they don't follow my input, I don't say, you know what, I'm not coming to work today. Trade me to another company. Quarterback shouldn't be in charge, Bill. That's the point. And I hope Houston lets him sit. I hope they don't trade him. They probably won't because nobody's going to pay the king's ransom they'd have to pay to get him. I don't think Deshaun Watson's going anywhere. And I hope he sits. Sit. I owe you guys more than 2 beers, by the way. Get my shot, first shot, March 22nd. We're getting closer to that happy hour at BJ's, guys. Oh, gosh. Kansas City has 2 linemen out. Well, we don't know that they're out for the year. But again, front line is in charge of quarterback. Very good. Very good point. What are you talking about? Are you talking about the Super Bowl, Bill? I don't even know what you're talking about. So anyway, moving back on. Here's some other cuts. Buffalo Bills, John Brown. Quentin Jefferson. Carolina Panthers, Trey Boston. Weatherly, already signed. Defensive end Stephen Weatherly, already signed by Rick's Vikings. The Bears have cut Buster Skrine. The Bengals, not too many cuts they could make that would make a difference, but they cut B.J. Finney. The Browns cut Claiborne. Cowboys cut Alawal. Broncos cut A.G. Bowie and Penko. Nothing, no big names here. I'm going to go back and I'm not going to go through all of these. If I miss somebody, you guys can bring it up. Houston cut Duke Johnson. Big Miami Hurricane alumni. J.J. Watt, obviously, they cut, which to me is a totally different story than the Deshaun Watson deal, by the way. He signed with the Cardinals. Richie Incognito got cut. That's a shame. Can't play. That's why. Terrell Williams. Kyle Van Noy with the Miami Dolphins. Very, very good player. He's going to end up somewhere and help some team. He's a great situational linebacker, can play some down linemen. Maybe he finds his way back to Foxborough. Patriots have yet to cut anybody. Vikings, Kyle Rudolph. Dan Bailey. Rick, you can weigh in on those losses if you want. The Saints, Jared Cook, Josh Hill, Janoris Jenkins, Emmanuel Sanders. The Giants, Devontae Freeman, already signed by the Bills. David Mayo, Golden Tate. A big move for the Giants was Kevin Zeitler. Big names. Some big names already cut. Josh Gordon, well, Seahawks. How many chances does Josh Gordon get, by the way? How many? What's Billy saying here? We all love Keith and his sharp mind. I don't know if you're busting my ass or not, but I'll say thank you or I'm sorry. Oh gosh, crack myself up. Oh, now we're on to baseball. Should have seen Keith at third base. Yeah, till I got old. Had no arm. Couldn't move. It was fun though. We had good times, right, Kenny? We had some awesome times playing fast pitch softball. Last few cuts that are making sense right now, obviously. Malcolm Butler cut by Tennessee Titans. Not the player that he was with the Patriots anymore. Adam Humphries. Alex Smith, sadly, cut by the team formerly known as the Redskins. And I wish to God he would move on. What's Billy saying here? New England gives up third-round draft pick. Don't care. Whatever. Non-story. They want to penalize us for it. I don't care. It's not a big deal. You guys, again, I've gone on enough about how I feel about some of this nonsense. And by the way, this does bring up a good point because the Patriots are the most penalized team for this type of thing in all of football. And I did a vlog on this recently. And it was about Tom Brady and not being able to win unless the NFL wanted him to win. Because obviously the NFL wants the Patriots to win. But at every turn, they look for things that are real and not real to penalize them for. Draft picks, money, ridiculously nonsensical things that the whole league is doing. Bailey's done. I agree with that. Kyle Rudolph, though, is a nice player. The Patriots talked about Rudolph last year. And to be honest, I'll be very honest with you, I'm not sure what his year looked like last year, Rick. You can probably fill us in there. Well, they didn't give away the franchise. They, again, I'm going to continue to come back to the Patriots here. First of all, my audience brings me back to them. Many of my audience and groups I share to are Patriot-centric groups, and I'm a Patriot fan, so there's going to be more Patriot talk than other stuff. Move me on to a different subject, and I get moving. I keep getting sucked back in. Because, again, what I have a hard time with is letting things pass that aren't true, right? Like Belichick's lost now. I mean, Bill Belichick and the team just made a foolish move here. But Belichick's not lost. There's probably a plan in place that I don't know about. Let's get back to Kyle Rudolph. I'm tired of talking about the Patriots, too, to be honest with you. Missed some games, and Irv Smith is ready. Yeah, Irv Smith had a very nice season. That's a good point. And Rudolph's got some miles on him, but he'll sign somewhere. Maybe we'll give him $14 million in New England. Oh, crap, I said I was going to move on, right? So listen, we talked about guys that have gotten cut. What about guys that have potential cuts? There's some big names around the league. Marshawn Lattimore, Latavius Murray, Malcolm Brown with the Saints, all potential cuts. Avonte Maddox with the Phillies, the Eagles. Who else? Green Bay. No big names I see there. LaMarcus Joyner with the Raiders. Damian Williams with the Chiefs. Again, serviceable running back. Yeah, Rick is right about back on Kenny Rudolph. He is a class guy, or appears to be from the outside. I don't know that much about him. Texans, of course, J.J. Watt already got cut. David Johnson is a potential cut, especially now that they brought in Ingram. Duke Johnson already cut. Really see much there. I'm running off some names. There's other names you guys can think of. You can throw them at me. Jabril Peppers with the Giants. That would be a big name to get cut. Brandon Shell with the Seahawks. So again, guys, and those are just some of the names. There's some other big names out there that could get cut. And, I think you got to be very wary of what goes on. Now, these guys all go into free agency. So we're just heading into the free agent. I don't think Green Bay's got any big names either. But they all go into the free agent market, right? So there's a lot of potential free agents on the horizon here with in the NFL. Let's see, who's some of the guys that are available going into the season? Well, it's very funny. Trent Williams was the Post had him ranked number 1. He signed with the Patriots. Shaq Barrett, defensive end. He's got a lot of suitors. He'd be good fit with the Buccaneers, the Jets, the Bengals, the Titans, the Jaguars. I mean, I'm not going to go through all these guys and where they would fit, but Kenny Golladay, wide receiver. There's a lot of teams, including my Patriots, who could use a guy like Kenny Golladay. Joe Thuney, probably not going to re-sign with the Patriots. You get me going on Aaron Jones is not a cap. I was talking about potential cap cuts, Rick. And I think he's a free agent. So or maybe he did get cut and I missed it, but I know he's a free agent. Back to Joe Tooney. The Patriots are probably not going to pay. I mean, he's going to be missed. He's never missed a game in his career. Started 80 games in a row. Josh Hill just signed with the Lions. That's a nice pickup. Yeah, I'll talk about that too, Billy. I meant to bring that up at the top of the show about Hagler. Joe Tooney, again, a lot of teams can use a solid guard like Joe Tooney. He's probably going to command, 4 years at $55 or $56 million. And knowing the way the Patriots operate, they will not pay that kind of money for an offensive lineman 5 years into his career, even though he's never missed a game. You got Bud Dupree, who got tagged last year, defensive end, offensive linebacker, coming into the prime of his career. Juju Smith-Schuster with the Steelers. He wants to be a Steeler for life, he says, but it's going to take money. A lot of potential suitors for him. Aaron Jones, running back, Green Bay. Unrestricted free agent. I'm sure if he walks away, Rodgers is going to have a fit. Now, let's see if Aaron Rodgers renegotiates his contract so that he can bring back Aaron Rodgers. We'll see. I'm trying to get off the Patriots, but, they have guys that have to be talked about. Kenny, I really, just to touch on that, I don't think that's fair because I spent, half an hour on the NBA. I spent, 20 minutes on the NBA, half an hour in the NCAA. I've been talking about the NFL now for 30 minutes, and maybe half of that got to be the Patriots, but only because of the stupid Cam Newton stuff. And Tom Brady, by the way, is not a New England Patriot. Neither is Patrick Mahomes. Now, if I refer back to what Tom Brady did with the Patriots, that's not talking about the Patriots. That's talking about Tom Brady. Anyway, you guys keep sucking me back in. Hunter Henry, speaking of tight ends, a guy the Patriots could use. Sorry to bring the Patriots up again, but that's what matters. Lots of teams could use talented tight ends. Hunter Henry is a really good one, by the way. The best one in the draft is Pitts from Florida, who's going to go he's going to get sucked up in the first 10 picks. We'll talk about the Yankees in a little bit. I don't know why we're getting to that. And 2 hours on the Patriots and Yankees. That's fun. Oh my gosh. We got to remember where we are. And again, when the host is a fan, I bet you guys listen to Chris Mad Dog Russo and they don't want to hear about the San Francisco Giants. I know I didn't when I listened to him on the fan, but I had to listen to him. Carl Lawson, defensive linebacker. I'm sorry. Defensive end / linebacker. There's a lot of those guys now. Corey Lindsey, Trey Hendrickson, Anthony Harris, Will Fuller, another really talented wide receiver. We know the teams that can use wide receivers. I won't mention them because I get in trouble. Matthew Judon, Shaquille Griffin, Juno Smith, Javanian Clowney. Interesting free agent here. I mean, he plays really, really well, but he had no sacks last season. Only played 8 games. Talented player. I'm not talking about the Patriots. That's why I said I didn't say I'd mention him. Pay his bail. Pay his bail. Who's bail, Billy? See, yeah. No one else talks about them. That's because they're no good anymore. Jameson Winston. Jameis Winston. Sorry, Jameson. Brooks got me thinking about Jameson. Hey, guys, look at my mug, by the way. The mug on my mug. Summer's around the corner. I'll take an informal poll of you guys in the room. When the better weather comes, can I move out of my professional surroundings and do my show outside on Sunday mornings? You tell me. The killer, Jameis Winston. Corey Davis, wide receiver, another nice wide receiver. John Johnson, William Jackson. Turner, Trey Turner, or Treya. Oh gosh. I was going to say something that would not be politically correct, so I won't say it. Hassan Reddick, Michael Schwartz, Patrick Peterson, 30 years old, but still a nice cornerback. And Leonard Floyd. These are just some of the guys that are available in free agency. These are the moves that are going to be very important in the next few weeks as we lead up to the draft. And we're going to talk a lot about the draft coming up. And we're going to do the draft live, as I mentioned to you before, on, I believe it's April 29th. We're going to do the first round of the draft. We'll be on live right here, TGI Sports Talk, Northeast Streaming Sports. I'll be co-hosting with Mac and Jack from the Mac and Jack Show. We'll have a lot of guests on that day, and we're going to cover every pick of the first round and analyze it and talk about it as we go along. Show us your professional surroundings first. I thought I had them now. Do it on the beach. Yeah, I'll do it on the beach. Well, I was thinking about doing it from the back patio, I like to get out, enjoy the nice weather on a Sunday morning. So I don't know what I'm going to do yet. I haven't decided. Oh, yeah, well, we don't talk about Hernandez. I still think that he's dead now, but I guess when he was alive, we were going to try to get him come to Bleecker and look down on your kingdom. Nice. I like that, Kenny. Is there a throne there for me, or do I need to bring my own? No tank tops. You never have to worry about that, Rick. I don't wear any shirt in the back. I'm just kidding. I thought about doing that. I don't know that they'll let me. I don't think they'd say anything about it. BJ's or Druthers. You guys know that when I was out and about, and I have not been out in a restaurant again now since before Thanksgiving. I did a little bit in the fall when things had kind of slowed down and I felt safe in a couple of places like Druthers or BJ's. I would do my promos for this show, Sunday morning show, live from one of those spots, which I really enjoyed doing. And maybe it would be fun to try to do a show that way. We could have you guys come down and be on. We'll do the happy hour live. Whoa, there's an idea. I might think about that. We can make one. I don't think you want to make me one. Let's talk a little Major League Baseball. And I promise we won't concentrate just on the Yankees. Kenny, I promise. Let me get some stuff on my way here. Oh, gosh. Man. Mostly what I'm going to talk about in Major League Baseball is not much going on news-wise. Again, it's early in the season. Let me switch my, hold on. Let's put up this. What do we got here? I don't know which thing you're talking about scary, because I said a couple scary things. Me without a shirt, live broadcast of our happy hour. As long as they're paying, they won't care. I agree. Billy's is vaccinated. Went to Ship's Pub. I thought it was the last to get vaccinated. It was packed. No, I've got a ways to go. Yeah, the live would be scary. I agree. Anyway, on to Major Leagues. What's going on in Major League Baseball? Any news? Real news? Not so much. We're going to talk a little bit. I got to throw the Yankees in here again. Sorry, Kenny. I'll get it out of the way quickly. I don't get excited about spring training. And what I'm going to tell you is maybe it's not negative news about the Yankees, but I'm not getting wrapped up in the pitchers that are question marks pitching well in spring training. Until they start throwing real innings under real stressful situations, I'm not confident in their health situation. If they get out of spring training healthy, yes, I'm happy. I'm not overly excited about, what's gone on there so far. I'm not excited about Gary Sanchez having a big spring. Have a big April and we'll talk. Yankees go bankrupt. If that happens, we're all in trouble, by the way. Sports is in trouble. That's really all I'm going to talk about with the Yankees right now. I really don't have much to say. What other news we got? The Mets, a little bit of Mets news. Carlos Carrasco's got some injury issues, which are concerning for the Mets. Haven't seen too much about how serious that is. Drew might be able to weigh in a little bit about that. We can teach Billy oh, gosh, we're going to be very good point, by the way. Just to go back to I had mentioned this last week, Billy, you weren't here. I am very glad Brett Boone. Aaron Boone is okay. He had a pacemaker inserted. By all accounts, he's doing very, very well. So, again, I'm happy for Aaron Boone. I don't know if I remember it either, Kenny. What other news is going on? I was looking to see if Drew is going to weigh in on Carrasco, but we'll go backwards if we have to. Nick Markakis retires after, I believe, no, I didn't write it down. I believe 15-ish seasons in the major leagues. Classy player. Never the best player in the league, but he went out and played. He was a professional hitter, played defense. He was just a solid player. Here he is, 15 seasons with the Braves and the O's. He spent 9 seasons with the Orioles and not with very good teams, unfortunately. But he helped the Braves through this rebuilding process and was an important player in the team as they got better the last few years. So it was, Rick, you want to come on? I'll turn on the, just in case you want to come on and sing the fight song, Rick. I'll turn on the Bluetooth on my phone, which I hope is up here. If it's not, it probably won't work out, but I'll put up the number. Oh, don't I have the number? Oh, hold on. I'll put the number up for a second. Just in case, Rick, you want to call in and sing the Perf fight song, I'll be more than happy to have you call in. 518-308-8225. We'll lose all our listeners then, won't we? What are we talking about? Markakis, nice player, nice career. Congratulations, great job. Kind of a scary story in Arizona with Coach Dave McKay breaking a rib and cuts his spleen when he slipped and fell in the dugout earlier this week. And, he's 70 years old. And apparently he's wearing a new pair of shoes and tripped at the bottom of the step of the dugout and fell against a bench and hit himself hard enough that he did some pretty serious damage. And it looks like he'll be okay, but he's going to be away from the team a little bit. And Dave McKay's a lifer in baseball. He was a serviceable major league player, but he's been a coach for ages. I don't think Rick's actually going to call, so I'm going to take this back down. Oh, gosh. I don't blame you, Rick. I wouldn't do it either, by the way. Where am I? Here's the Carrasco. Carrasco shut down for now. We'll know more next week. Just calling it soreness for now. That's always scary, Drew, to be honest with you. Discomfort, soreness. We'll shut you down for a week or two and see what happens. And it never seems to end well. Oh, Rick will sing the song at BJ's. All right. We're definitely going to have to do that live, at least that part of it. Falling sucks. He broke his C2 before falling and survived. Well, good for you. Oh, by falling and survived. Well, I'm glad to hear that you survived, Billy. You did hit your head, I'm guessing. And he does point out he was sober. Did you hit your head as well or not? I'm only curious, for the education of my audience. I don't mean anything bad there. Other news in Major League Baseball. Trevor Cahill signs with the Pirates. Big deal, right? So here's the other thing I want to talk about in our last few minutes today. Not in Bleecker, the Bears will start crying. The changes in Major League Baseball, I'm not getting it, guys. What is going on? Oh, crap. I can't find my notes here. Hold on one second. Some of this I like. Some I don't. I got to find my file here. I shut it by accident. There it is. Okay, so I don't know if you guys know it. First of all, Major League Baseball and I'll touch on this first. 40 minor league teams they shut down this year. Cost-cutting factors happened here locally with the Tri-Valley Valley Cats being no longer affiliated with the Astros after a long time relationship, and it's happened to 40 other cities. Now the Valley Cats have landed on their feet, and they're going to be part of an independent league, and they may even have some better ball players. Who knows? It was a good brand of baseball. It was a lot of fun to go to that ballpark, and if you didn't, they did it right. It was inexpensive. It was fun for adults. It was fun for kids. They did lots of stuff. The beer was good and cheap too, by the way. And just lots of things to do. But there's lots of little towns around or smaller cities around the country that have been affected by losing these teams. They're a big part of the economy of these teams or these cities. Oh, they have. Major League Baseball has priced people out, Billy, but people still go. I rarely go. I go about once a year. I won't take my car down. I go to Poughkeepsie and take the train into the station because I'm not going to pay $100 to park my car. I have one beer for $25. So anyway, that's just topic number one. That's the only one I want to talk about. I think what Major League Baseball has done is a disservice to these loyal. A lot of these cities have been teams for years, and it's a bit less disloyal, and also it's going to hurt Major League Baseball down the road because you don't teach at the Major League Baseball level. You teach in the minor league baseball level. And the less teams there are, the less instruction there's going to be, and and even worse fundamentals we're going to have in Major League Baseball. We've already got horrible fundamentals. And that's not going to get better by eliminating minor league teams. And again, the salaries are, as far as the price of the ballpark, again, it is what it is. Again, as long as people go, it doesn't matter. As far as salaries go, as long as we watch them on TV, the salaries aren't going to go anywhere. And as far as the salaries go, I don't get into that. I don't care what guys make. I do care about paying Cam Newton $14 million, but I don't care. If somebody's willing to pay you, God bless you. You deserve it then. What I really want to talk about, I got off topic here. What I really want to talk about with Major League Baseball is some of these changes that they're looking to make. Well, they're not looking to make. They're going to make. Let's just concentrate first on Major League Baseball. We've already done some stupid things that are ridiculous in my mind. The 7-inning doubleheaders, BS. We've talked about it. I hate it. Starting extra innings with a man at second base. Ridiculous. I don't really care about the DH and what they do with it. They could have made it universal. They could do away with it. I prefer National League Baseball. Yankee fan. Kenny, you think all I talk about is the Yankees, but I will tell you that I prefer National League Baseball because I'm not a big fan of the DH. There's more strategy in the National League. There's double switches. There's, when to pinch hit for a pitcher. There's all kinds of things that don't happen in the American League, and I don't need to see 11 to 10 games. They have dead in the baseball this year. We're going to see what happens with that. But there's some big changes. And they also, by the way, did away with the expanded playoffs. So thank you very much for that, MLB. Rob Manfred. Finally, I got something to say thank you for. Teaching any major league and you don't belong. That's true. Problem is, you're going to get guys that can't play. Right? Well, there's one vote against the DH. I like it without it. I really do. Probably not going away again. Players Union will never let it happen because you're going to cut, even if one league has it, you're going to cut 16 very high paying jobs. So that'll never happen. Home runs are boring. Well, they're not necessarily boring, but when it's home runs, walks, or strikeouts, and that's all you look at all night long, that's boring. I won't say, in general, home runs are boring because they're not. But when that's the game, it's boring. Let me get to what I was going to talk about. Here's some things that they're working on in the minor leagues this year. No infielders in the outfield. So you have to have both feet on the infield dirt or the infield grass, right? You cannot be in the grass in the outfield. That's what I've been trying to get to for the last 10 minutes, right? Drew. And I don't like this. Because this is just the first step to saying no more shift. And I don't like the shift. But it's not the defensive team. It's not the defensive team's fault. They're employing a strategy that makes perfect sense based on the way the game's played. Teach kids. We talked about this. I don't know if it was last week or I talked about it on somebody else's show. I'm not sure. Hire managers that will and coaches that will teach kids to hit the ball the other way. And don't hit it into, there's 9 guys on the right side of the field and you hit the ball right into where they're all standing. Don't change the rules because of the shift. Well, yeah, a lot of guys are coming right from college to the pros too. So again, I don't disagree with that. No, you guys are fine. You guys are fine. Don't worry about that, Billy. This is why the show goes on Sunday mornings. It's just back and forth. That's what I like. Always post your stuff. We can go a little bit over if we have to. I agree, Rick. Or Kenny, sorry. The shift's been part of the game for a long time. Not everybody did it. It was done only in certain cases for certain players. Now it's done on almost, half the game. I'm not saying the shift is the problem. Don't put in rules saying guys got to play in the infield. It's going to affect batting averages now. And the shift will go away if guys stop hitting into it. Jesus, God, teach these guys how to hit the other ball the other way. Kenny, how did we learn how to play ball? Hit the ball where guys aren't. That's been the way to play baseball for 100 years, 125 years, whatever. I can't do math. Oh, Billy was only kidding. He didn't really want to give me a show. AAA, I already got this, right? I haven't got to that yet. I don't care about increasing the size of the bags. I don't think it really matters. Who cares? Will it reduce injuries and collisions on the base pass? I don't know. I really don't know. But I don't think it really makes a big deal. I think the pickoff rules are stupid. What's wrong with the pickoff rule we have now? The Andy Pettit move is dead. Look at home plate, throw to first base. Got to step off on every single, come on. And there's no quick step off the rubber to throw the ball to first base. No more chickens on the scoreboard. Whatever. I mean, some of these rules are just stupid. One of the biggest things I don't like is they're going to try out robotic umpires. Please. Robotic umpires. Take all the human error, all the human aspects of the game out of play. Now, they are going to do some things to speed up play, which I think is okay. But again, here's the thing that I don't like. If you just enforce the rules you already have, we don't need all these new rules. The shift and playing guys just in the infield. Teach guys how to play the game correctly. Let me get rid of this for a second. Sorry, Drew. Yeah, I'll touch on this stuff here. I'm touching on all this stuff anyway, Drew. I can't seem to get back to my banner. Where am I? MLB. All right. Again, and the rest of this, call the strike zone. Tell pitchers to stay on a mound between pitches. Make the hitters stay in the box, which theoretically they do, but they all step out. 1 foot in, take 1 foot out, and do the same things you did when you walked around the freaking batter's box. One thing I did last year during the downtime of the COVID shutdown was watch a lot of games from the 70s. And guess what? Most of them took 2 hours, was a long game. 2 hours and 10 minutes. A lot of games are played in an hour and 50 minutes. Hour and 4. You know why? The ball came back to the pitcher threw the ball. Looked for a sign, threw the ball. We don't need 30-second clocks. We don't need robotic umpires. Enforce the rules that are already there. So angry with this stuff. This ridiculous rule with the infielders only playing in the infield. And again, it's the first step to the shift going away. I guarantee you. They're going to put some rules in that, guys can't play on the other side of the bag. And Kenny's right. We played that way in high school for certain guys. And if that's the way you want to play the game, well, then shame on you. Yeah, but it's a bad idea. Stop trying to take the human element out of sports. Human error has been part of sports forever. Instant replay has ruined sports in my mind. And some very big moments in sports would be forgotten without instant replay. 1985 World Series. I think it was 85. Who remembers who wins that World Series? Does anybody even remember if there is except for Don Denkinger's horrible call at first base? It's human error. It's part of the freaking game. The players make mistakes, affect the games all the time. Umpires are part of that whole game. Now, you tell me they aren't. I know that'll be the argument. Instant replay has been a ruination of all sports because it gets bastardized. That's the problem. It gets put in for maybe what we think are very good reasons to just overturn the egregious. Sorry, guys. Overturn the really egregious calls. But then it gets used for everything. It gets used when a guy overslides a bag by this much and is off the bag and he gets tagged out and they go replay that. I mean, come on. That's what happens, and I guarantee it'll happen, and something will happen with these rules, like computerized freaking. Do we have a resident umpire? It'll get bastardized when it comes to these balls and strikes calls. I hate all of these electronic and technology upgrades that sports wants to make to say this will make the game better. We put instant replay in only for home runs, and look what it's turned into. Again, you want to speed up games? Do away with instant replay. Oh, I want to look upstairs. I'm pretty sure that guy's foot came off the bag for a millisecond. Trying to find some of these other comments here. What's Drew got? Yeah, well, we talked about disengaging the rubber. Pitcher fails to do so, result in a balk. Yeah, let's change all the rules. We'll change every rule in baseball. Rob Manfred, you think Bud Selig was bad for the game of baseball? We talked about the time limits. Ridiculous. Just call the rules that enforce the rules you already have. What Billy say here? Bastardized. I can't get Billy's thing up here. One of the favorite words when I worked full time. Oh boy. I got to tell you guys, I get worked up over these things because Major League Baseball's in this situation because for years they've been trying to fix things that weren't broken. Game wasn't exciting enough. Too many kids going to watch the NBA. Got to make the game more exciting. Let's liven up the baseball. Let's make the ballpark smaller. Let's do this, that, and the other thing. You've tried to fix in the very beginning a game that wasn't broken, and you've made it worse, and now you're going to put in more rules to fix the things you screwed up in the first place. Oh, boy, do I get worked up. See, it isn't just you guys. Rob Manfred is a terrible commissioner. If you think Bud Selig was bad, Rob Manfred is the worst thing to hit baseball since Bowie Kuhn. He's horrible. The game won't even resemble what I played as a game. And Kenny, who I played with, remembers. Start liver if it's an error. Start over if it's an error. I'm not sure what you meant there, Ken. Enforce the travesty rule. I'm not sure what that means either, but again, comes back to fans in attendance. Might be back too far now. I'm not sure how that comes back to fans in attendance, but instant replay delays games. Yes, 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 yes. Play a game of the Orioles and see how it goes. Yeah, let's play some games. How about the game we play in Iowa this year, the Field of Dreams? How about we just play the old way? We play with no DH. We call the rules that are in play. Maybe some hitters try to hit the ball the other way, like Joe Jackson or some of these guys would have done that. Were immortalized or not necessarily immortalized, but were alluded to in this Field of Dreams movie. Play the game the way it was meant to be played. Stop putting in rules for things we don't need. We should get Oh, guys, thanks for indulging me. We covered a lot. Billy mentioned earlier, and I should have mentioned this at the top. I really feel bad I didn't. The passing of the great, marvelous Marvin Hagler, one of my favorite boxers of all time. I don't know if Mac McGrath is still here, but I'm sure he talked about it on his show today, which I'll catch in a little while. Please go check out Mac and Jack on Northeast Streaming Sports. Check out all the shows on Northeast Streaming Sports. Join me during the week. As I said, I think I'll come on live and do a little bracket talk. I don't think I'm going to do a long show because I do have a real job that is taking up a lot of time these days. Hang on, before I start to cut off, I got Travis Drews when they make a joke of the game by not performing up to its standard. All right, well, I agree. I'll buy that, Kenny. Enforce the travesty rule. Play the game the way it was meant. I guess that's kind of backing up what I said. Play the game the way it was meant to be played. Guys, watch these shows that I mentioned on Northeast Streaming Sports. Rest in peace to marvelous Marvin Hagler, one of the pound for pound, maybe the greatest fighter of all time in my mind. Again, I know that Mac will have some thoughts on that. We had a great 2 hours here today, guys. Very lively back and forth. I love it when you wind me up. Don't worry about it. I love it, Billy. Love you to death. Love all you guys. We have a great time. We're going to have that day at BJ soon. Get your shots. My first one's March 22nd. My guest next week on Friday will be Chuck Everson of the 1985 Villanova Wildcats, one of the biggest upsets in NCAA history. And Sonny Spira, former Syracuse Orangeman. Don't forget, March 31st, live at 7 p.m., our Final Four show. We got some great guests. I'll be doing a promo for that here right after this. And we'll have the draft show, too. See you next week. You guys have a great rest of your Sunday.